He had a stacked leaderboard. If you like golf, you knew some of the names, right? You knew the names. By the end of the leaderboard, if you're a casual golf fan, you probably had to Google one or two, three guys. That's it. Like that's a good thing. Like that's a win where we really don't have like the Tiger star. Rory is like a big star. He would have been big there. Ricky Fowler. Mm-hmm. But what I was amazed with is Scottie Scheffler is a bigger star than I thought. I did not realize the crowds around Scheffler were massive. He's obviously the Players' champ. He's number one in the world. He's the best in the game right now. So there's something to be said for that. And then his comeback. I mean, it's an epic comeback with all the drama down the stretch. I mean, Xander Schauffele could have made a 7-footer. We would have had a playoff. That putt could have gone in at the end. I mean, that's like the national championship game in the shot going around toilet bowling the rim and going out is what happened at the end there. I mean, it was that close to a playoff, and we would have got 3 more holes. So all in all, again, I know not everybody's diehard golf fans. It was just a terrific event, and it was a huge win for the sport of golf, I thought. I don't know if enough people are talking about that. I thought it was a big win for golf to put everything aside for a week and say, you know what? We don't need Jon Rahm. We don't need Cam Smith. We don't need Dustin Johnson. We don't need Phil Mickelson. We don't need Liv Golf. Like, the sport is fine. We just put on a hell of a show. And it ended up being the 50th anniversary, and everything was good about it, and we had drama. I mean, every ingredient possible said, whoever wants to play, play. Mm-hmm. Do your thing if you want to do your thing. But we're good over here. For the first time in a couple of years, I felt like the PGA Tour could say, we're good over here.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of a big deal.
Let me ask you this. Why isn't, and this is just from my perspective, why isn't Scottie Scheffler getting more love right now? Because, like, so after the tournament, I go on Twitter, and, like, I didn't really see people talking about it. I'm like, well, okay, I mean, this guy just accomplished something that no other golfer, I feel like, has done, and win back-to-back players. So, like, you know, I go on the sports Twitter, I check out the trending topics, and, like, players was trending, but Scottie wasn't. And, like, Liverpool soccer was trending. Obviously, a lot of, like, Wisconsin, the tournament games, they were trending. But I didn't see Scottie's name. And I'm like, well, what is the deal with this guy? Like, how come he isn't more in the spotlight? How come he isn't being talked about more of a guy who's the first time in history a back-to-back Players' champion?
Yeah, it's a good point. I was even surprised of the crowds. I thought there would be more people around Schauffele and Clark, and they were in the last group, and there really wasn't. They would go watch Scottie, who was, again, several holes ahead of him because he was 5 shots back, and then they would disperse and go elsewhere. A lot of people running ahead to see Scottie Scheffler. So I actually thought the golf fan was more in tune with Scheffler than I even thought. Now you're asking the casual fan to be there? That ain't it. Like, this is not transcendent. He's not there yet. And I don't know if he'll get there. And I think in part, Austen, this has a little bit of a Mike Trout feel to it. And the way I say it is because he's a regular dude. Like, I mean, I don't know Scottie Scheffler, but if you listen to him, he does not come off like a star. And he's very grounded and very humble. And I mean, there's not like this fashion part of him, right? I mean, he's got a little beard, and he's got a fun little kind of goofy quirk on his swing, which I think is interesting. Like, you could go to Top Golf today and watch people swing like that. They won't hit it as well as him. I have no idea how he hits it this well all the time consistently with his feet moving like that. It defies logic in the golf swing, much like Jim Furyk's golf swing would defy logic that he's one of the best players in the world. But there's that. But outside of that, man, he's kind of just a family man from Texas who's a really good golfer. He's not going to say anything outlandish, most likely, although I think he does have some personality. He's not boring by any means. But I don't think he's going to get on the polarizing scale ever.
Compared to the superstars, though, he is boring. Like, he's not boring, but, I mean, compared to a lot of the guys that you're going to get the big soundbite from, you're not going to get it from him.
Yeah, but remember now, he's the one that kind of, I would say that normally, but I think what's being a little overlooked this week is he kind of threw the salvo at the Live guys. He said, listen, if you guys want to talk about who splintered the game of golf, go ask the guys that went to Live. Like, he had actually one of the most profound sound bites of the week. That was before the tournament, right? So, but now I don't know if it gained as much headlines. Again, people are not all in tune with the Live PGA Tour stuff. I mean, let's be honest. It's very niche still when it comes to how locked in people are. But Yeah, I don't think he's ever going to be a transcendent star because I think our stars are polarizing. Now, we'll say this. He has time to get there. He's 27 years old, and he's a relatively new star in the game. I mean, he's won 8 times in the last 26 months, so he's burst onto the scene. Mm-hmm. Now, if you were in the golf world, you knew he was coming up, but he's really burst on the scene. Same as like a Wyndham Clark. Like Wyndham Clark probably has a little bit of a boring feel to him, but he's got to nowhere now. He's 30 years old, and he just started winning last year all of a sudden, and now he's contending all the time. Like, that's an unusual story. And I don't know if even these guys at the top, Schauffele and Brian Harmon, I mean, if Brian Harmon won, we'd be talking about how long it takes him to hit a golf shot more than he won the players. Like, that's real. Like, that's what we'd be talking about. I always try to think about this in your sport.
Okay.
Right? Like, you have an appreciation in MMA for probably someone who's a master technician and who puts on a clinic in a certain fight, et cetera, whether they're a big name or not, whether they have good mic skills or not.
Sure.
And this tournament actually got me thinking about that on Saturday, Sunday. I was like, okay, how's this going to relate to Austen? Well,
we're about to break down MMA and golf and put them all together. I can't wait to see where this goes.
Well,
Let's go.
because to me, I thought that's what we got. If you like golf, I thought Saturday and Sunday specifically, we got unbelievable golf. Like, there was incredible golf being played. Now, you, as not a golf fan, are not going to appreciate incredible golf. You don't give a damn. Correct. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to, as a novice casual MMA guy, I'm not going to appreciate a clinic somebody just put on in the cage.
For sure.
So I think it's a lot alike in those respects, kind of whatever you like. We all kind of have a better feel about that if we see Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes go toe-to-toe, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think the big difference, though, is that you can become a star with a 5-second knockout, a highlight, and in golf, it's like, unless you sink a 50-foot putt to win something, like, it doesn't really elevate you in terms of like the meme status or like the short, clips that you can find on the internet.
That's a really good point. We are in a highlight-driven world. I mean, he hold out from the 4th hole for eagle. Like, I mean, he had the hole, but to your point, it's a hole out, the crowd goes nuts, and it's this.
Yeah.
It's not Tiger fist pumping down the fairway, right?
Yeah.
It's not that kind of energy, and I think that's not his fault, by the way. I just think there is a difference. In our highlight-driven world, we want to jump on somebody, on the backs of somebody that's going to give us a fist pump. So we can either jump on them or we can not like them and say the fist pump is weak.
Yeah.
That's just the way we roll.
Well, but I think that's one of the issues with golf is like, listen, I'm not sure of the numbers and everything, but I got to think, whether it's like your generation, Brent, or we're talking about the kids' corner, there's more people in this country that golf than go in a cage and fight.
Absolutely.
Obviously, right? But I think why MMA and more specifically the UFC gets so much love is because people can relate to these fighters a little more. Like, hey, you just knock somebody out, and now you give somebody like a suck it sign. I mean, it's happened.
Yeah.
And it went viral. People are like, hey, I would probably do the same thing. Or like, you knock somebody out and like whatever, you fist bump, whatever the case may be. But it's super relatable. You hit a hole in one or you rim out like you were talking about, and you just kind of tip your cap. Like, people have been in a situation where they'd be like, dude, I would be going crazy if I was that guy. And they don't, because, well, maybe they've done it a million times before, so it's not that crazy to them. But for somebody watching, it is. So I think in golf, you lack the emotion and you lack the relatability to the casual fan, just because all these guys are essentially kind of just acting and doing the same thing.
Yeah, there's a very cookie cutter. He's in a white polo shirt with pants on, right? And yeah, he's got a beard. He doesn't look that different. I would say this is, again, casual. This is why I love this dynamic here from an MMA standpoint. I'm more in tune with Conor McGregor. Why? Because he's a dynamic personality. I don't even know if he's any good at fighting, right? When I'm watching him, right?
Yeah.
He's a dynamic personality. He's got an Irish accent. He'll say whatever the hell he wants to say. The antics, you either love or hate. He's a polarizing guy. And at the end of the day, you've got to ask yourself, oh, is he really good at fighting or is he just good at fighting? You really did. Like, you had to ask that. Golf doesn't have that player, really, that you have to do that with. But I will tell you this. Right now, Scottie Scheffler is reminding people of Tiger Woods' kind of dominance. Like, that's how good a golf he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
But he's nowhere near as transcendent. And nobody ever will be, by the way, in the sport of golf, as transcendent as Tiger Woods was. I mean, that was the genius. That was the brilliance behind it. That was the uniqueness behind it. And nobody's ever going to copy that. But he is actually, over the last 2 years, playing kind of like Tiger Woods. And Scottie Scheffler doesn't want the comparison. Listen to what he had to say about it.
I'm not going to remember the exact numbers, but like we're playing at Riv this year, and I hit my tee ball, and this guy yells out like, "Congrats on being number one, Scotty! 11 more years to go." 11 more years to go. Anytime you can be compared to Tiger, I think is really special. But I mean, the guy stands alone, I think, in our game. I mean, he really does. I mean, this is my 8th tournament win now out here. I've tied him in Players Championships. Outside of that, I got 14 more majors and 70-something PGA Tour events to catch up. So I think I'm going to stick to my routine and just continue to pull it along, try and stay as even keeled as I can. And yeah, we all idolize Tiger. I mean, he's been our guy. Watching what he did in special moments over the years is crazy to watch. And I've learned a lot just from being around him. And we're just very thankful that he's still a part of our sport.
What an awesome answer, by the way.
Yeah.
But again, indicates why he's not going to be he's an even keel guy. He's reverent to the great Tiger Woods. He's not the kid coming along like, yeah, I'm going to break every Tiger. If he had said, I'm going to break every Tiger record, boom.
That's what I'm saying. Where's the MMA call out? Where's, hey, Tiger Woods, I'm better than you and I know it. You need to pick a time or place, me and you one-on-one for charity. I'll beat your ass. Like, that's what we need from Scottie Scheffler.
But you're not going to get it, and that's what we're talking about. And by the way, that's okay. If Scottie Scheffler was watching this right now, like, you don't have to be that way. You are who you are. Like, he had a great quote. One of the great quotes was, because people were saying, hey, do you get excited? And he's like, well, by the time all this media stuff and everything wears down, I am the guy that will get to a register of, I'll go scream and shout and be like, yeah, I'm really fired up. But I'm usually tired by the time I get home to do that. Yeah. And I'm not doing it out in public, number one. But he also had a great quote like, hey, if I walk in, like, he was explaining his home life and the great support he has at home. He said, if I walked into my house and just started like, hey, look at all these trophies, I'm putting them all over the house, and blah, 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 my wife would slap me upside the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, there's something cool about that, but not cool enough for everybody else. Like, I think it's a very likable factor. Like, Scottie Scheffler becomes a very likable deal. But we don't like that in sports. Yeah. We want to pick a side in sports. Well, there's only one side to pick with Scottie Scheffler right now. He's a really good dude who's a really good golfer. Mm-hmm. Argue against that.